Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And today we're going to talk about Evil Dead Burn, written and directed by Sébastien Vaniček of Infested fame, which, if those of you who actually remember...
It's about spiders.
Yes, Infested was a French extreme spider horror movie. So... you can kind of think of this as kind of a French extreme Evil Dead movie.
Yep.
When you get right down to it, because not only is it a French director, he also made sure the main character of this movie is French, just to make it as French as possible.
It's Frenchy.
It's very Frenchy. It's very Frenchy. So if you're familiar with the French extremity movement coming out of France in the early 2000s, it was a series of movies, a series of horror movies that were very intense.
Yeah, they were
very
considered the extreme of the extreme.
Yep, they were gory, they were bloody, they were in your face, they were often very mean-spirited.
Oh, yeah.
And occasionally, they were pretty hilarious.
Yes.
But in really dark ways.
Yes, I still say the Inside is hilarious.
Yes, Inside's a great example of it. That movie perfectly rides the line between hilarious and being utterly intense and unforgiving. Compared to something like Martyrs, which is much less funny.
Oh, yeah, Martyrs is not funny at all.
No.
That movie is just pure brutality.
This movie is interesting because it feels almost like a Rorschach test for everybody I know that have seen it. Half of us find it to be like Inside, and it's really fucking funny and intense and fucked up. The other half find it more like Martyrs and really intense and a downer, and oh my god, what am I going to do with my life after I've seen this?
I felt like this coming out of one other movie, and that movie was The Woman.
The Woman,
by,
yes. Lucky McKee.
Lucky McGee.
Lucky McKee's masterpiece, The Woman, which is based on a Jack Ketchum novel. If I recall.
Yeah. It's a brilliant movie, but it does bludgeon you. You feel like you've been hit in the fucking face with a sledgehammer.
And that's another movie that has a ton of humor in it, but is also very fucking
it's real
unforgiving.
Dark and unforgiving.
And the reason why I think both movies are a good comparison, this and The Woman, is because both movies are ultimately about domestic abuse.
Yes.
This movie follows a main character named Alice, whose husband recently died in a car accident. It's more of a deadite-caused car accident.
Yeah.
We'll get more into that, into the spoilers, because how the deadites actually factor into this plot is a spoiler, because it's not something any of the trailers revealed.
Yeah.
Because it's not the usual, you just read the book and then they showed up. There's actually more to it in this movie. But her husband's dead, and so she has to attend the funeral, and then after the funeral, spend a weekend with the family of her husband. And unfortunately, that is a weekend with in-laws that pretty much all seem to blame her for her husband's death.
Blame her for his death, despite the fact that it was clearly his own doing.
It was clearly his own doing, and the movie makes it very clear really early on, this is a very tumultuous relationship. Like, she and him are not in a good place.
No.
And as the movie goes on, you learn more about their relationship, and you pretty much become pretty convinced he is he's an abuser. He's just a straight up abusive husband. 100%. Trigger warning for that. This is a movie about domestic abuse, and it's a movie about a lot of gaslighting and a lot of intensity. Because as you can imagine, the family that already blames her for the death of their son are eventually going to become deadites over the course of this movie, and are going to be even meaner about their, feelings towards her. So.
Another trigger warning: there's abuse against animals as well.
Yes, there is a dog in this family, and that does mean there is dog violence. And I don't just mean violence against the dog. There's also violence from the dog.
Yeah. The dog itself becomes a deadite.
Yes, that is a thing that happens in this movie. It is actually where one of my rare criticisms of this movie actually lies. I kind of wish they went a little bit more Raimi with the deadite dog.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, it was more just like a dog with like glowing red eyes barking at you.
Yeah.
And I thought it would have been cool if they did like the full like deer head thing with it or something.
Yeah, or like the goat from Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
You black-hearted bitch.
They didn't even have to go like as cheesy with it, but at least having the dog like just like turn around and do something fucking creepy.
Yeah.
I wish they had done that. They didn't. It's a minor criticism, but it is a thing I kind of wanted out of the movie that I didn't get. However, other than that, this is one of my favorite movies of the year. It is a feel-bad movie of the year, but it is also a feel-good movie of the year because, It's fucking funny in a really dark way.
Yeah.
Especially everything involving the grandma.
Oh, yeah.
The grandma is interesting because a lot of times with like the more recent Evil Dead movies, a lot of the humor comes from just how fucking like insane the movie gets. But the grandma has like actual written jokes in the movie. Like they are straight up setups and punchlines, and they work every time. I also really love that this movie expanded the Evil Dead lore as has been established since the beginning of Evil Dead, but also since the Evil Dead remake on, they've kind of been playing with the lore a little bit.
Yeah.
And this movie continues that expansion in ways we'll talk about in the spoiler section, because they are kind of spoilers. So what about you? Like what did you like or dislike about this movie?
I like the whole flick. Trying to think of things to say that aren't just repeats of what you
like
just said.
It's brutal. I love it. It's funny. I love it. It's messed up. I love it.
Yeah. One of the things that I really appreciated about the movie was how unrelenting it was.
It is super unrelenting. Every time you think the movie's about to end, it goes one step further.
Yeah.
You know, to the point where like it builds up to a straight up final boss, which is something that the previous Evil Dead also did.
Yeah.
Evil Dead Rise also had like a final boss at the end that kind of summed up the entire point of the movie.
Yep.
In the boss. The boss is like a personification of the movie's theme. In Evil Dead Rise, it was motherhood. So you had that monstrosity at the end. Combined with all those little, like those kids and the mom. But in this movie, it's domestic abuse. So the final boss is more closely tied into her relationship with her dead husband, which we'll talk about in the spoiler section.
We'll talk about in the spoiler section. One of the other things I'm really liking about these Evil Dead movies is that there's this really weird through line that goes through all of them. Like, for example, at the end of, well, technically at the beginning of Evil Dead Burn, you see that Deadite rise out of the fucking water.
And then that turns out to be tied into the end of the movie. So what we actually saw was the end of the movie at the beginning.
At the beginning, yeah. Here, this movie starts with it.
Yes,
This movie starts with that scene.
Exactly. We kind of pick off where Evil Dead Rise left off in a very interesting way. And so you're spending that entire like first 15 minutes going like, okay, how is this going to swing into the movie we saw in the trailer?
Yeah.
And it does in a fucking great way. Also with one of my favorite fucking cuts in the movie, that like cut of like the ass.
Oh,
the twerking.
Oh my God.
The car crash to twerk cut.
Yeah, that's
10 out of 10 cut.
That's an example of the how funny the movie gets.
Yes, everyone except for the main character is so unlikable. The main character's fine.
Yeah.
I loved Alice. She's great. But holy shit, every other character in this movie is so hateable. You can't wait for them to turn into Deadites so that Alice can take their heads off. This protagonist is probably the most beat up at the end of this movie since Ash was.
Yes.
By everything she goes through.
By the end of Evil Dead 2,
Yeah.
Ash is like just literally been through the grinder.
Yeah, because by the end of Evil Dead 2, like he's lost his arm and shit like that, and he's like fucking like bruised and bloodied and all that stuff. She is basically in a very similar position by the end of this movie, more so than the last two movies.
Oh yeah. The theme of her character is helplessness.
Yes, she is a battered woman. And she basically has to batter back by the end of this movie. Yeah. And she does very well when, when it comes right down to it. She's actually pretty good at it once she gets started.
Yeah, but it takes a long time to get there.
Another thing I really like about this movie is I guess this is more a comment on Evil Dead as a franchise. I actually like how every Evil Dead movie so far has kind of had its own vibe.
Oh, yeah.
Like even the three Raimi ones have their own kind of flavor to them. You had the original Evil Dead, original flavor Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit more horror, had some goofy cheesiness. But then like the second one leans into the slapstick, leans into the cheesiness, just goes full bore into horror comedy. And then you get into the third one, and that's when it turns into like an action fantasy tale. Like, it becomes Medieval Dead.
Yeah.
Evil Dead 2013 just went back to like something more horror and just in your face. Like it was very much like early 2000s extreme kind of horror.
Yeah.
And then Evil Dead Rise brought in a little bit more of that cheekiness. And also Evil Dead Rise was a lot more colorful, like visually.
Yes.
This movie is them just going straight up French extremity with it. Its color palette.
Very dark shadows. Most of the color is in the lit areas, and it tends to be red because Evil Dead Burn.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this movie is it basically has a color palette of two main colors, shades of gray and shades of like yellow.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that most of the movie is shaded in a kind of desaturated gray kind of look to resemble ash. The single use of color throughout the entire movie is always caused by the flames. It's always the yellow and the reds and the oranges from the flames flickering on things.
It creates this great like chiaroscuro look, you know, in almost every frame.
It creates that feeling like if you've ever seen a movie where like there's a fire in a snow, this movie looks like that even when there's no snow. In fact, there's parts of this movie where it feels like there's snow, but it's not. It's actually the ash falling on the ground.
Yeah, another thing I really liked about this movie were its action set pieces.
Yes, there's some pretty clever ones.
Action set pieces, but rather than very interesting. There's one in the middle that happens in the dining room.
Oh yeah, and that one's like a oneer, right?
Yeah, it's
like
a oneer.
You're following a character, almost Children of Men style.
Yeah, where all the action is happening, like kind of in the back, sometimes in the background, sometimes in the foreground.
Yeah,
in the super foreground, and we're just watching one character move through and react to the whole thing. Cannot imagine how they choreographed that.
It must have taken like a while to choreograph, I imagine.
It had to have. That's the sort of thing you either get on the first take or the 100th.
Yes, and I'm also curious of how much of it was done on the spot and how much of like some of the background actions were like added in post.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm curious how many like plates were used. Like, was it just one shot or did they like stitch together some like other shots in the background?
Yeah, because it's really hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. It's pretty seamless.
Yeah.
It's pretty beautiful. And that is something I love about this movie. I love about all the Evil Dead movies. They made a bunch of clever choices with the cinematography in this movie.
Yeah.
Doing the kind of wacky shit that like Raimi did, where he experimented with the camera to do like weird shit. One of my favorite ones is actually this mirror gag that I'll talk more about in the spoiler section. It was my favorite shot in the whole movie. That mirror thing, literally when it happened in the theater, I was just like, woo, let's go. Like, that was awesome. So yeah, Evil Dead Burn. I fucking love this movie. I highly recommend it. It's not going to be for everyone because it is very extreme, but I would argue that's also the case of the last two Evil Dead movies. So, though, understand this movie is about domestic abuse and there is animal violence in it, so be warned.
Be warned.
And with that said, let us move on to the spoilers so we can talk about all the shit that is really fucking awesome in this movie.
Okay, so the mirror scene.
Yes.
You're talking about the scene where her head goes through the mirror and we realize we've been looking at the reflection the entire time.
We're like watching this shot where she's being like banged around by, I'm pretty sure it was the grandma who was grabbing her and throwing her around. She comes and hits the camera and cracks the camera lens. And then it pulls back and reveals that we've been watching a mirror the whole time as she continues to beat her across the fucking hallway.
Yeah. Not since like Evil Dead 2 have we played around with the camera.
Yeah, there was some playing around in Evil Dead 2013 and Evil Dead Rise, and there's some iconic shots in both movies. Yeah. But you could really feel them trying to play with that kinetic moving camera energy, the same mentality that created the famous Evil Dead shot, right? You know? Yeah. This movie did that a lot, and I appreciated it. It felt a little bit like old school Evil Dead, but with a far more dark tone.
I'm still always impressed by the idea that they had when they did the original Evil Dead, when they were in two boats.
Oh, yeah.
Two guys with 2x4s with the camera just fucking screwed onto it.
Yeah, so they could get that shot over the water of the Evil Dead cam.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my God. So that means that they were just waiting to jump out of the water as soon as they hit fucking ground.
And then whenever they were like, you know, on land, they had to have that basically same rig, but they're just sprinting. Yeah. Sprinting across the ground to get that shot, you know? But then you think about like the camera handoffs they have to do every time they like go through a doorway, right?
Yeah, right.
The movie ultimately culminates in her fighting the Deadite version of her dead husband. Yeah. Who takes the form of a fire Deadite. I don't know what else to call it. Yeah. It's like a flaming Deadite that causes fire everywhere it steps.
Well, yeah, because like this is a type of Deadite we've never seen before. Because it's not like possessed bodies.
Yes. It's weird because Deadites over the course of the franchise have had like weird powers, right? Normally they're like possessed bodies, but occasionally you'll get some like the evil ashes out of the window. Or the evil ashes out of the mirror, not the window, the mirror. They do the Gulliver's Travels thing to Ash. and that's like a weird power that like Deadites didn't have before that. But then there's also like we've seen Deadites over the course of the original movies and in other movies like morph into weird shapes and whatnot. Like famously the Evil Dead 2, the woman in the basement.
Actually, I love that shot where the headless body comes in with the chainsaw.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen various things, but this one's interesting because it's got like fire powers. Now, you're probably wondering, is that the reason why the movie's called Evil Dead Burn? Kind of. It's actually part of the overall theme of the movie, because the reason why the movie's called Evil Dead Burn is because the main character, she got into a fight with her husband when he physically assaulted her. The altercation led to her getting burned by some water that was on the stove.
Yeah.
Landed on her, and she's got this burn scar on her thing.
Yeah.
So the theme of burn goes throughout the entire movie.
Yeah. From the fire to the burning to everything looking like ash. The lighting.
The way her husband dies is in a flaming car
that
lights on fire. And so his corpse is perpetually on fire. When she has to confront him, she has to confront him who's going to burn her and leave more scars. You know, the burn mark is a perpetual scar of their relationship, and he's come back to leave more. And so that's why the movie has this entire fire motif, this entire burning motif. But there are other like forms of burning that happen throughout the movie. Like when that one guy's girlfriend like drinks the wax, the hot wax.
Since we're in the spoiler section, I can say this. There is one survivor of this one.
Yes, it is Alice and Alice alone.
Yeah.
Well, there is a Deadite that survives, but
technically, but I mean, if you could say the Deadite was alive to begin with.
All I'm going to say for that is stay till after the credits. There's 2 after the credits bits. One of them is a tease, fan service tease, and the other one is a follow-up to a question you'll probably have over the course of this movie when a certain Deadite disappears.
Yeah.
So stay after the credits for that.
One of the things I wanted to bring up is the guy that played the dad.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit, he is terrifying.
I love that guy because even before he becomes a Deadite, even before he opens his mouth, the first time you see him at the funeral, he's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, he just looks intimidating as all fuck. Like, he's about to rip someone's head off at any moment.
Yep.
But in, like, a quiet way. He's not, like, imposing over anyone. It's just the way he carries himself.
Yeah. And over the course of the movie, he goes from that quiet to basically, like this fucking boss monster.
And what I love about it is he's not like a particularly big guy. Like his son is taller than him.
Yeah.
You know, he just has the presence. You know?
Yeah, he just did it. It was awesome.
I fucking love that guy. And I love that he's kind of like the main evil Deadite throughout the movie that they're dealing with.
He's the main Deadite that they're dealing with before like the ghost of the husband appears, essentially.
Yep. He's the main one for most of the movie. There are other Deadites throughout the movie. The ex-husband's brother has a girlfriend who becomes a wonderfully, beautifully ghoulish Deadite throughout this movie. Probably the one that most resembles the Deadites from the last 2 movies.
Yeah.
She's constantly taunting them in very hilarious ways.
I can't remember which one of them actually did say Dead by Dawn. Because they say it once in this movie.
Dead by Dawn is stated by the mom when she finally goes full Deadite in the bathroom towards the end of the movie.
Right.
There's a lot of like, Easter eggs and nods to previous movies in this. There's a point in which the movie teases you and makes you think she's going to pull out a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And it actually ends up being a jackhammer she ends up grabbing. Which is pretty awesome because we hadn't seen a jackhammer in one of these movies.
Yeah.
I love the grandma throughout this. Her reoccurring gag of thinking that the daughters-in-law were all there to like steal her money.
Yeah, because she's got dementia.
Yeah, she has full-on dementia to the point where even the Deadites, like there's this really hilarious scene in the movie where you get to watch a Deadite think in real time when it encounters the grandma and realizes its usual manipulation isn't going to work because the grandma is too senile to register what the Deadite is trying to do. And so the Deadite just has to like play into what the grandma's already stated delusions are in this kind of funny way. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just kind of locked out. Yeah, please let me in.
Yeah. This is also like the first Evil Dead movie where I was actually like, is anyone going to survive this?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was a moment there where I was just like, she's not going to make it, is she?
Yeah.
This is brutal. It's unrelenting. It's unforgiving. Jesus.
Yeah. And the truly brutal stuff happens after she escapes the burning house, and then her husband shows up. Then the real brutal shit starts.
Yeah, and he just starts tracking her down through that fucking construction site.
Yeah.
She is so fucking beat up after this. Like, she's got holes in her leg. She's burned as shit. Like...
Yeah, this is where it really starts to resemble, like, Martyrs.
And worth noting that before all this happened, she's suffered a bunch of injuries earlier in the movie. Like, there's a point where she had, like, a fucking pen shoved into her ear.
Yeah.
You know, and then snapped off so all the fucking ink got in it. Like,
yeah.
Even though she wins in the end and gets away, and you have that beautiful moment where she's in the ambulance and she's lighting up that cigarette.
Yeah.
You know, and you get that beautiful, like, light shining on her, like, a little bit brighter, like, made it through the tunnel. There's light at the end.
Yes.
You still kind of feel like, whew. Holy crap.
Technically a happy ending, but oh my God.
That took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
So you're probably wondering about, like, the expansion of the mythology in this movie. One thing that's really interesting about this movie, I think this is the first movie since Army of Darkness where the Deadites actually have a thing they're after.
Yeah, they're actually after something.
In most Evil Dead movies, people just read from the book. It summons the demons come and kill them all. Army of Darkness is the only one where it seems like the fucking Deadite was out for revenge.
Yeah.
And wanted something that Ash had. In this movie, they want something that the main characters have, because it turns out that the patriarch of the family, who's been long since dead...
He's basically an occultist.
Yeah, he was an occultist who was researching the books and researching the cults that were obsessed with the books. And he had discovered a whole bunch of stuff, including a dagger that can kill the demons, like permanently. Not just send them back to hell. So the whole reason why they show up here in the first place is to get that dagger. That's what they're after. And if you're wondering how the demons get summoned even though no one reads from the book, that's because it's the demons that were summoned in the last movie.
Yeah.
It's the one at the lake that triggers this whole thing.
Yep.
There's a lot of discourse around this movie, like breaking Evil Dead lore. And first off,
I don't think so, because first of all, I'm of the opinion that as soon as the remake happened, we were starting over.
Yeah, to a certain extent we were. Even though they like claim that they are still in continuity with one another, it did feel like it's like a new era, right? So new era, new things are going to happen. But even then, all the Evil Dead movies, especially those first three, kept introducing new things.
Yeah,
to it. In Army of Darkness, when the little Ashes all show up and then they like jump into his mouth and then form a second Ash.
Yeah.
That's not a power Deadites had in the previous two movies.
No. That's just something that apparently they can just do in that medieval world.
That was a new thing for that movie, and I feel like it's perfectly fine for any of these newer movies to introduce something new to.
Well, I also, like, I question anyone who thinks that there's any actual, like, canon to the lore of Evil Dead, because, like, they did the smartest thing right in the beginning, which is they kept it extremely vague.
Absolutely. And on top of all that, if you've seen the first three Evil Dead movies, each of the two sequels began with a recap of the previous movie that retcons things from the previous movie.
Yeah.
In Evil Dead 2, there's a little shortened recap of the first movie that shows a version of the first movie in which none of the other friends were there when they went to that cabin.
Right.
Army of Darkness, there's a recap of Evil Dead 2 that also doesn't include some of the side characters that were there in Evil Dead 2.
Right, and even like slightly rewrites the ending of 2.
It does.
Because at the end of 2, they all recognize who he is.
Yeah.
And in the beginning of Army of Darkness, he's like nobody. Everyone's like, who's this fucking idiot?
Yeah, when he goes to the portal at the end of Evil Dead 2, like, there's all these people that look at him like he's the chosen one and start cheering him, right? And at the beginning of fucking Army of Darkness, he's in chains and been enslaved and no one knows who he is.
Yeah.
These movies have constantly retconned each other from the beginning, so I don't know how you could be a stickler for any sort of lore in these movies at this point.
Yeah. The only thing is, does the movie make sense? Everything else is a bonus.
Does the individual movies work? And I think this movie works perfectly fine.
Oh, yeah,
I think all the
totally.
Evil Dead movies work in their own ways.
Oh, yeah. They've been really good. Mm-hmm. Really good so far.
Absolutely. And with all that said, my fellow gorehounds, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to ring that notification bell so you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you'd like to help out either of us more directly, be sure to check out our Patreon pages. And remember, if you decide to go the Patreon route, even $1 a month can go a long way, but we will certainly accept more. And if you liked this video, I want you to comment below, and be sure to comment below using the hashtag burn scars. I can't think of a better hashtag right now.
Yeah, this is a hard one to come up with a funny hashtag for.
I'm sure there is one I'll think of after I do this vlog, and then I'll be like, son of a bitch, I should have went with that.
Yeah.
But until then, we'll go with hashtag burn scars. Work that into your comment below. That way I know, that way Jack knows, that way the whole world knows that you know how awesome Evil Dead Burn is.
Yes, absolutely.
And with that said, my fellow gorehounds, peace out, and we'll catch y'all later.